Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of 1 Corinthians, the second chapter. And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of God. So you see in the subheading, Paul's reliance upon the Spirit. And Paul is emphasizing here that I deliberately, right? It's not like I didn't know how to speak with words of wisdom, but I deliberately didn't speak, with these eloquent words and, try to sound like this super great speaker. But rather, I spoke, with basic words, easy to be understood, to get the point across and declare unto you the testimony of God, because I wanted to emphasize the actual core message, not how sweet it sounds or how great of examples I used, but for you to understand and believe through the actual gospel, the message that's being preached. For I determined not to know anything among you, save Yahweh Shai HaMashiach and him crucified, right? So I purposely spoke as one that only knew about the crucifixion of Yahweh Shai, so that I can preach only, mainly that. Right. I didn't, try to make myself seem as though I'm like this super high up intellectual or, this great speaker or philosopher, but rather one that is here to preach to you, Yahweh Shai. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom. And what Paul is saying here is he basically abased himself. Okay, he made himself of no reputation, right? Or of low reputation, just stealing a quote there. But he basically brought himself down. So you're not in awe of like, damn, this guy, I'm so convinced by the way he broke that down so eloquently. And, he just man, the way he tied in that point, it's just oh. But it's about what he was actually saying, not how he was saying it. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit, and of power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. So he's saying, I demonstrated the power of the gospel of the Lord by purposely, keeping my teachings very basic and to the point, so that your faith would be through the actual things that were being taught to you, and not in the wisdom or the smoothness of the words in which I used to teach them to you. Because really, during that time, that's what a lot of those followers of philosophers liked. How they rhymed, how their riddles were so deep. And sometimes they followed them because of that, because they liked the way it sounded, because they liked how much of an intellectual somebody seemed to be. And they became followers of them because of that. And Paul is saying that wasn't the point of me coming here. That's not why I came to teach you this word. Howbeit, we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught. And what he's saying here is, when I spoke to you, I didn't speak with the wisdom of men. I didn't speak with, super deep sayings and parables and all of that. But when I'm amongst those that are more spiritually mature, I do speak with wisdom amongst them, because I know they can receive it. Though it's not the wisdom of this world, nor of the wisdom that the rulers or the princes in this world, seem to have, which that is really amounts to nothing. That's what it means by that come to naught. So let's read this first let's look at the word perfect. One of the definitions here, when you go to the last one, right? That which is perfect of men, full grown adult or full age mature, right? So when you read this in the NLT, it says here, yet when I am among mature believers, I do speak with words of wisdom, but not the kind of wisdom that belongs to this world or to the rulers of this world, who are soon forgotten. But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom, which God ordained before the world unto our glory. So the wisdom, and it's kind of like the same now, right? The way we speak amongst ourselves when we go into the scriptures and we're having holy conversation, it's a mystery, right? Because it's not something that's commonly known or even understood to the world. It's likened onto hidden wisdom, but we understand it, right? And this this wisdom was ordained, as it says here, by the Lord before the world. So from the very beginning, but it was ordained for our glory. So those that are called were ultimately destined for it anyway. It says here, no, the wisdom we speak is of the mystery of God, his plan that was previously hidden, even though he made it for our ultimate glory before the world began, which none of the princes of this world knew. For had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. Right. So even starting with the scribes and Pharisees and the chief priests and the ruler seats, even up until the Romans that they gave Yahushua up to, but more so those that you would expect to know the wisdom of God, they didn't know it, because if they did, they would have known who Yahushua was, and they wouldn't have crucified him. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart, meaning the mind of man, the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. So these secrets have not been revealed to everybody. All right. It hasn't been perceived. It hasn't been heard. It hasn't been thought of, the things that the Lord has prepared for them that love him, right? Which are secret things. But of those secret things, as Paul is going to go to in verse 10, but God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit. That is the portion of those secret things that are freely given to us. Remember, the scriptures say we know in part, we prophesy in part. So the things that we are given to know, those parts of the secrets have been revealed unto us, right? And this goes into, high, deep levels of understanding, matters of prophecy, right? Matters of things to come, i.e. things in the kingdom and all of the details of that. We haven't perceived that. But the mysteries that the Lord prepared of old, he has revealed some to us. So as he says here, but God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit, for the Spirit searcheth all things, yea, the deep things of God. And that's by the means of that Holy Spirit, we are able to have those deep things of God revealed to us. So the Lord reveals to us his secret things through his Spirit. And then Paul gives an example here, or a comparison here. Verse 11, for what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of man which is in him? Like the inner thoughts of a man, his secret thoughts are really only known by his spirit. Even so just like that's the case, even so the things of God knoweth no man but the Spirit of God. You don't know what's going on in somebody else's mind, but they know what's going on in their mind, right? And so likewise, we don't know what's going on in the mind of God, but the Spirit of God knows what's going on in his mind. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. So the secret things of the Lord, which the Spirit searcheth out, we are made privy to, because that very Spirit the Lord has given to us. Okay. So he has blessed us with his Spirit, which allows us to then know his thoughts, at least the parts that are freely given to us to know. Which things also we speak, that is the things that are revealed to us, not in the words which man's wisdom teacheth, but which the Holy Spirit teacheth, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. Now, I'll give you an example of that, right? When we are having a spiritual conversation and say we're in public, people around cannot actually understand, because we're not speaking with the wisdom which the words of man's wisdom. We're speaking but with the wisdom in which we're taught of the Holy Spirit. And we're comparing spiritual things, things that are spiritually discerned with spiritual. For example, you can talk to a brother, right, that, is in the same spirit in the scriptures concerning, like, oh, like, yo, it's crazy how Esau going back to the garden was really that serpent, which beguiled Eve. And now look at them today. Right. And look at what they're doing. And ultimately, when Yahweh Shai comes back, because he was Adam and he went off. But when he comes back, and as he made it right as Yahweh Shai, when he comes back this time, he's going to change us. And once we're changed, we're going to come back down and we're going to make things right again because we were with him from the very beginning. Somebody in the world hearing that cannot understand that because it's like we're not speaking English to them. They're going to say, wait, hold on. Esau. OK, so who's Esau? OK, the Esau, these people. OK, but then he was a snake. He was a serpent in the garden. What do you mean he was a serpent? Oh, and then the serpent begot. So what, was a snake talking to Eve? And wait, but Adam, you said he sinned, but then how did he come back and fix it if he already died? But then you're saying he's going to come back again and he's going to change you. What do you mean he's going to change you? But then you're saying you're going to be gods. You're going to come back down and then you're going to what? You were with him from the beginning, but you're here now. How were you alive all the way in the beginning of creation? You see, these things are spiritual talk that the world cannot understand because we're not speaking with the words of man's wisdom. Our conversation is in heaven. But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God. So one that is natural or carnal minded, whose mind hasn't been opened to understand or speak the spiritual language, so to speak, they can't receive the things of the Spirit of God. They won't understand it. For they are foolishness unto him, like the example I just gave you. They're going to be confused. They're going to be, what the hell are these guys talking about? Neither can he know them because they are spiritually discerned. So the natural man cannot understand the things of the Spirit because it requires spiritual discernment to understand, which they don't have. They'll say, well, you're talking about what kingdom? How do you know that's going to happen? The second they at that point, they can't receive it. They cannot. Oh, well, you're saying this, the MOTB and this is the, but how can you prove that? The second somebody starts speaking like that and you're breaking it down to them and you're showing them the scriptures and they can't see it, it's because they are natural. They're of the natural man. They're carnally minded. But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. And reading that in the NLT, it says, those that are spiritual can evaluate all things, but they themselves cannot be evaluated by others. NIV, the person with the Spirit makes judgments about all things, but such a person is not subject to merely human judgments. Right, because though the scrutin, because that word judgeth goes into like scrutinizing, examining, okay, and those things are done by a spiritual man through the Spirit of the Lord. But guess what? What's the one of the first things that he scrutinizes and examines is himself. Okay, so those that without the Spirit are not able to judge a spiritual man. Okay, but those with the Spirit, if they try to judge a spiritual man, they will see there's really nothing to truly scrutinize, because he himself, if he's doing the right thing, would have already taken care of that. So moving in the Spirit allows you to examine and scrutinize the things of the world, but the world cannot examine and scrutinize you. Verse 16, for who hath known the mind of the Lord that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Hamashiach. Reading that in the NLT, for who can know the Lord's thoughts? Who knows enough to teach him? But we understand these things, for we have the mind of Hamashiach. And so because of that, we're privy to these matters and we can understand these things. And that brings us to the end of the book of 1 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.